In December 2023, Spotify did something strange. They laid off 1,500 employees on the same day they announced their first profitable quarter ever. The company called it right-sizing. The employees called it something else entirely. Artists are earning fractions of pennies while the platform pays podcasters hundreds of millions. Users are fighting an increasingly hostile algorithm that seems more interested in pushing content than understanding taste. And the very nature of music itself is being transformed, not by artists, but by artificial intelligence. The strangest part? We're all part of this transformation, whether we realize it or not. Every time we hit play, we're feeding an algorithm that's slowly reshaping the future of music. And right now, that future is starting to look increasingly bleak. This is the story of how a Swedish startup's promise to democratize music turned into a cautionary tale about the true cost of convenience. We'll uncover why your Spotify experience feels increasingly frustrating, how the platform's algorithm is literally changing the way songs are written, and why entire genres of music are slowly disappearing from your playlists. But more importantly, we'll reveal why Spotify's current path might spell disaster, not just for artists and listeners, but for the future of music itself. Because sometimes, making something cheaper means making it worthless. Imagine Stockholm, 2006. The music industry is hemorrhaging money to piracy. CD sales are plummeting. Record labels are desperate for a solution. That's when Daniel Ek, a young Swedish entrepreneur, presents an idea that seems almost too simple. Make music so cheap and accessible that piracy becomes pointless. The pitch was compelling. Users would get unlimited music for the price of a single CD per month. Better yet, they could listen for free with ads. Record labels, bleeding money from piracy, reluctantly agreed. They figured some money was better than no money. In retrospect, they might have been making a deal with the devil. By 2023, Spotify had evolved into a behemoth with over 500 million active users and 200 million paying subscribers. The platform became synonymous with music itself. But as Spotify grew more powerful, something strange started happening to both the music and the platform. Let's talk numbers. When you bought a CD in 1999 for $15, about $8 went to the record label and artist. When you stream a song today, the artist earns between $0.003 and $0.005. That means an artist needs about 250 streams to earn what they made from a single song sale in the CD era. But here's where it gets darker. Even these fractions of pennies aren't distributed equally. Spotify's pro-rata system pools all subscription money together and pays artists based on their share of total streams. This means if Drake gets 5% of all streams, he gets 5% of all money, even from users who never listen to him. Take an indie artist with 500,000 monthly listeners, a number that would have made them comfortably middle class in the CD era. Today, those 500,000 listeners generate about $2,000 monthly before the label takes its cut. A barista at Starbucks makes more in 2 weeks than many artists with millions of streams make in a year. Remember 2016 Spotify? Opening the app felt like walking into your favorite record store. The Discover Weekly playlist was revolutionary. It actually understood your taste. Finding new music felt magical rather than mechanical. Fast forward to 2024. That same app now feels more like a digital Times Square, cluttered with billboards for podcasts you'll never listen to and AI-generated playlists you never asked for. The homepage has become a maze of sponsored content, with actual music recommendations buried beneath layers of algorithmic suggestions. The changes are subtle but significant. The Made for You section, once prominent, is now hidden behind podcast promotions. Basic features like shuffle play became premium only. Even playing an album in order, the way artists intended, requires extra steps. the platform that promised to make music more accessible has somehow made it harder to actually listen to music. In 2020, Spotify made a decision that revealed its true priorities: a $100 million deal with Joe Rogan. That's equivalent to 20 billion song streams worth of artist payouts. But the podcast pivot wasn't just about content, it was about control. The platform's algorithm now prioritizes engagement over enjoyment. Songs are ranked not by quality, but by their ability to keep users on the platform. This has led to what industry insiders call Spotify core, music specifically engineered to please the algorithm. The effects are measurable. Average song length has dropped from 3.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes since 2015. Intros have shrunk from 20 seconds to under 5. Choruses arrive earlier, and songs end abruptly to encourage immediate replays. Even song titles have changed, with artists using more searchable terms and emoji to game the system. But the algorithm's impact goes deeper than song structure. Entire genres are being slowly suffocated because they don't fit Spotify's engagement metrics. Classical music, with its longer compositions and dynamic range, gets penalized. Jazz, with its emphasis on improvisation, struggles to fit the platform's definition of engaging content. Even rock music has been transformed. Guitar solos, once a staple of the genre, are disappearing because they often lead to skips. Complex progressive rock songs are being shortened and simplified. The rich diversity of music is being flattened into what critics call playlist core, inoffensive, algorithm-friendly background music. In 2024, Spotify's artificial intelligence has evolved from a simple recommendation tool into something more insidious. The platform now uses AI to analyze successful songs and feed this data back to labels and artists, creating a feedback loop that homogenizes music. Spotify's AI DJ feature, launched in 2024, exemplifies this transformation. Instead of human curation, an AI voice now introduces songs with generic computer-generated commentary. The platform claims this creates a more personalized experience, but users report the opposite. Recommendations have become more generic, favoring what's popular over what's personally meaningful. The recent Spotify Wrapped disaster perfectly illustrated this shift. Instead of meaningful insights about listening habits, users received generic, AI-generated statements that felt more like horoscopes than music analysis. Even worse, the platform began using AI to categorize emotions in songs, reducing complex artistic expressions to simplified mood labels that affect placement in playlists. This AI-driven approach extends to music creation itself. Spotify now provides labels with AI-generated success metrics that predict a song's streaming potential before it's even released. Artists report being pressured to modify their music based on these predictions, leading to what one musician called algorithmic songwriting by committee. The casualties of this transformation extend beyond just song structures. The middle class of musicians, those who once made a modest living from their art, is vanishing. In its place, we're seeing the rise of what industry insiders call playlist bait, songs designed specifically to game Spotify's algorithm rather than connect with listeners. Classical composers face particular challenges. A symphony meant to be experienced as a complete work gets split into movements that the algorithm treats as separate, underperforming tracks. Jazz musicians, whose improvisational style naturally creates longer, more dynamic pieces, find their work penalized by an algorithm that favors predictable 3-minute formats. World music suffers too. Traditional songs in languages other than English struggle to gain traction, regardless of their cultural significance. Indigenous music, folk traditions, and regional styles are being slowly pushed to the margins, creating what musicologists warn could become a monoculture of sound. Yet, there are signs of hope. The vinyl revival isn't just about nostalgia. It's a direct response to the devaluation of music in the streaming era. Vinyl sales hit $1.2 billion in 2023, proving listeners still value tangible connections to music. New platforms are emerging that prioritize artist compensation and genuine discovery, each taking a different approach to fixing streaming's broken model. Bandcamp's Bandcamp Fridays, where the platform waives its revenue share, have generated over $100 million for artists. Tidal's direct artist payouts system ensures money from your subscription goes only to the artists you actually listen to. SoundCloud's fan-powered royalties model is proving that alternative payment systems are possible. Artists are fighting back too. Taylor Swift's battle with Spotify over fair compensation inspired others to demand better terms. Independent musicians are building direct relationships with fans through platforms like Patreon, where some artists earn more from a few hundred dedicated supporters than from millions of Spotify streams. Some are even returning to physical media, creating limited edition vinyl releases that can't be reduced to algorithmic commodities. Local music scenes are resurging too, as artists and fans seek authentic connections outside the streaming ecosystem. Underground venues, indie record stores, and community radio stations are becoming cultural hubs again, proving that music culture can thrive beyond the algorithm. Spotify promised to save the music industry from piracy. Instead, it's created a new crisis: the systematic devaluation of music itself. Every time we stream a song for a fraction of a penny, we reinforce the idea that music isn't worth paying for. The next time you open Spotify and face another algorithmic playlist or podcast recommendation you never asked for, remember this: convenience always comes at a cost. The question isn't whether Spotify will change, it's whether there will be any real music left to stream when it does. Because in our rush to make music accessible to everyone, we might have accidentally made it worthless to anyone. We thought we were on the stairway to heaven, but we built a highway to algorithmic hell. Don't let this video be a one-hit wonder. Hit subscribe to tune in to more Business Sherlock investigations.